Hey guys, it's Emma Vigling with TYT Politics. Happy New Year. So as you know, we've been doing these series on the senators up for re-election in 2018. I've already profiled Ted Cruz, but then I thought of something else I wanted to look into, and the results were very, very interesting. So you know how Ted Cruz likes to use that sleazy line about how he doesn't represent New York values, basically demeaning everyone who lives in New York, who's from New York. I live here, by the way, and saying we're godless heathens who don't sufficiently hate minorities and gay people enough to pass his moral test. You know how he does that all the time? Yes, so you might remember that from the Republican debate, most notoriously, where then candidate Trump absolutely destroyed him.
Senator Cruz, you suggested Mr. Trump, quote, embodies New York values. Could you explain what you mean by that?
You know, I think most people know exactly what New York values are.
I am from New York.
Well, you're from New York, so
yeah.
You might not. But I promise you in the state of South Carolina, they do. But everyone understands that the values in New York City are socially liberal or pro-abortion or pro-gay marriage, focused around money and the media. And I guess I can frame it another way. Not a lot of conservatives come out of Manhattan. I'm just saying.
Conservatives actually do come out of Manhattan, including William F. Buckley and others, just so you understand. And just so, if I could, because he insulted a lot of people, I've had more calls on that statement that Ted made. New York is a great place. It's got great people. It's got loving people, wonderful people. When the World Trade Center came down, I saw something that no place on earth could have handled more beautifully, more humanely than New York. You had thousands of people killed, and the cleanup started the next day, and it was the most horrific cleanup probably in the history of doing this and in construction. I was down there, and I've never seen anything like it. And the people in New York fought and fought and fought, and we saw more death, and even the smell of death. Nobody understood it, and it was with us for months, the smell, the air. And we rebuilt downtown Manhattan, and everybody in the world watched, and everybody in the world loved New York and loved New Yorkers. And I have to tell you, that was a very insulting statement that Ted made.
Again, besides the respectful and factual takedowns of Hillary Clinton in the primary by Bernie Sanders, that was the line I remembered most. I don't like 9/11 demagoguing, and I've got no love for Donald Trump. I think he's the scum of the earth. But it does point out Senator Ted Cruz's unabashed hypocrisy. Beyond the fact that Ted Cruz literally went to Princeton and Harvard, so he's got zero leg to stand on talking about East Coast elites, Cruz takes a ton, and I mean a ton, of money from New York donors. So apparently he loves New York money, if not New York values. In his Senate race, when broken down by geography, the region he's received the 9th largest sum of cash from is New York, with, by the way, Washington, D.C. being the 5th largest region that his contributions are from. He's received nearly $1.15 million from New York donors just to his Senate campaign. We're not even talking presidential, where the real money comes in. Ted Cruz's most important donor in his career is this eccentric, some would say crazy, billionaire hedge fund guy, Robert Mercer. Mercer and his daughter Rebecca have billed themselves as the anti-establishment Kochs, libertarians, and racists. That's what they are. Robert Mercer and his daughter bankrolled Breitbart, and they are close with Steve Bannon. They flipped to Trump in the Republican primary after it was clear he was going to win, but were all for Ted Cruz before that happened. Mercer gave Cruz $11 million in his race for president. $11 million! And guess where Mercer lives? New York. Yes, until November, Mercer was running New York City-based hedge fund, Renaissance Technologies. New York values. Cruz loves them. And to fully understand how much of a lapdog Ted Cruz is and how much he loves donors from New York, Robert Mercer once threw an elaborate World War II themed party at his Long Island, New York estate. And guess who showed up to that party at that New York estate begging for money? Ted Cruz. But he wasn't dressed as Ted Cruz. he was dressed as Winston Churchill for that World War II themed party. Ted Cruz loves New York donors and those New York values so much that he dressed in an elaborate Winston Churchill costume to beg for money at a New York party. Ted Cruz is one of the biggest frauds in the country, and I don't think it's close. And you know what's worse about him and why I think maybe he's even worse than someone like Donald Trump? It's because he knows what he's doing is wrong. He knows when he says New York values that he is taking that New York money because he's all in it for the donors. That's why he has his career. And you know, he went to Princeton and Harvard. He knows these things. So he's lying to your face and he's doing it purposefully. And that's what makes him, in my opinion, even more insidious than the nut job that lives in the White House right now.